In this video, I'm going to be talking about the final paper. So it's about integrative approach to counseling. So we're going to be seeing first, what is integrative approach? I'm going to give you a quick summary and then I'll go over each of the components of the paper and we'll tell you a few things that I'll be looking for. And then, if any questions, I will be expecting an email from you. All right. So we'll begin first by looking into what is integrative approach. So I have broken down into 5 things. The first one, it's a creative synthesis. Remember, it's not a summary of individual approaches that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a creative way in which you are synthesizing your own theoretical orientation from different concepts and techniques that you studied in the past weeks in all the modules. So you're going to see first, you're going to show me what your theoretical orientation is by first coming up with your orientation, your integrative approach. Now, it has to fit your personality, your style. It has to benefit the client you work with for an effective treatment for them. And you have to have a reason, a rationale for why you are choosing each of the components that go within your theoretical framework. All right. There are different ways of choosing how you go about doing this. So the first thing that we need to be familiar with is that there are 4 ways of looking at integrative approach. The first one, that we don't quite say or tell our students to kind of look into it, but it's one kind of integrative approach, which is combining different techniques, like collecting them together that would be effective at different points while working with the client. That's eclectic approach, like technical eclecticism. The second one is theoretical integration. So this is what I'm more so focusing on for this paper. So remember, it is about going beyond just one single theory and combining. You could have one as your core, but you're combining so many different approaches because together it's not going to be 1 + 1 anymore, but 2 is going to be more effective, and it's going because what 2 can actually accomplish, 1 individually cannot. So basically, that's the idea behind integrating different approaches and kind of unifying it in a meaningful way. The third way of looking at this integrative approach is assimilative integration, which is, yes, you start with one and that is going to remain as your core, and you will see how you can take in the other techniques and other models from other frameworks, other theoretical frameworks. But what preliminarily happens in this is that you stay within that one model. Yes, we can do that, but I'm expecting theoretical integration, which is much more, according to me, advanced in the way you skillfully blend them together. So I'm expecting more of that. Although I understand if you are leaning more towards assimilative integration, because a lot of beginning counselors do that. Common factors is another way of integrating, which is focusing on common denominators, common factors that does exist between the different theoretical frameworks, and kind of the reason behind your integration is because there are commonalities, and that's what gets you together, not necessarily the theoretical not necessarily the theoretical framework itself, but more so the commonalities kind of help you to bring those things together. Yeah, you will be focusing on common factors while you're integrating and blending them together. So that's also kind of coming together with the second approach that we spoke about. So remember, if not anything else, the second, the theoretical integration, is what I'm more so leaning towards, and I'm okay if you are doing a simulative integration too. All right. So with this idea, let's look at what your final paper is going to be. So it's going to be for 30 points, right? There are 4 parts to the paper. What I'm looking at is the first integrative approach to counseling, and then how theories apply to you, the challenges you would face, and I want to see how you can actually apply that in a given case situation. So with this, the grading rubric is also given to you for the 30 points. It's broken down in these different ways. You will see that the case study, the application, is a main area that I'm focusing on to be to know that you've not just understood the material, but you're able to apply it. All right, I'm going to go over each one of them really quickly. The first one, so think about it as 4 different parts that kind of flow from one after the other. The first one is like the foundation for the entire paper. The first one, part or the section of the paper is about your approach, your theory. So what if, so I've been telling this to students, right? What if your theory was chapter, let's say 16, right after the book ends? The book talks about, see, this is a new theory. It has all the segments that we have already studied in different other chapters, right? So I'm looking at basic philosophy, like what is the philosophy behind your view of human nature, your view of human change, right? So what's your philosophy behind coming up with that model of yours? So what are the key concepts? You can list the key concepts. You can write about your role as a counselor. What would your role be? How do you see, so more so in this, I'm seeing what, according to you in your theory, what would be the role of a counselor, and what would be the therapeutic relationship, what would be therapeutic goals, and what kind of research is backing your study, backing your framework, and what are certain techniques and methods or modalities that your therapy kind of lends itself to, and what are some cultural diversity issues that your theoretical orientation would actually cater to or address. So these are the ones that I'm seeing. Remember, this is the only part of the paper that's going to be objective. It's going to be informed by the literature, by different theories. So I'm going to be seeing a lot of APA citations. I'm going to be seeing your knowledge, your ability to synthesize the material, listing them. So all of this is what you're going to give me in these first 5-6 pages. You will be needing more, but see if you can contain them in these many pages. That is your orientation. It's the foundation. After you lay that, the second one is how you will apply it personally, which means I want to know how is this theory fitting your personality, your beliefs, your life values, because that's an important part of integrative theory approach. It's that the therapist, it has to blend itself to the therapist's worldview of how they see. Right? That's what you saw in other theorists too. There is a reason why they came up with a theory, because in some ways it informs their value, their philosophy. So I want to know why you chose what you chose. It's kind of, this is a place where you're convincing me, see, this is my theory, I gave you that, and the reason why I think this is comprehensive is because, and the because area, which is more not the literature part. The literature part you would have covered in the first section. Here it's mainly, this is me, this is how I see it, this is my experiences, and that's why I'm going to be this is why I have this theoretical approach. So that's more where you can derive your inspiration. If you go back to your discussion board, all the last part of yours should inform the personal connection between you and your theoretical framework. So this is your second part. Moving on, this is mainly building on the first and the second, which is anticipated challenges. As you work through the framework, when you apply this framework in the future, maybe with some population or with some setting, what kind of challenges or setbacks do you presume you would have in the future? So this is more like kind of preparing you, not just anticipating what kind of setbacks you would have in applying your theory, but also what would you do about it? How would you best deal with it? So that's part 3. Part 4 is about case study. This is the application section where I want you to feel free to add and create your own client, and then as you give your client client's problem and the reason why they are there for counseling, when you describe the client situation really well, I want to be able to see how would you use your theory in kind of beginning your session with the client, how would you work with the client, how would you end your session with the client. So almost like give me a good 360 overview of the work with the client using your theory. So take as much as pages you need, about 4 to 5, which should, overall, I don't want you to go beyond 20. So that is the rule, all right? So do that for the last part. Your ability to actually apply is what should shine through this particular section. This is a quick overview of 4 parts. Now, keep in mind, to be successful, to get full points, I can assure you will get full points if you keep up if you meet all the requirements, keep up with the guidelines, and do the following. All right. First 3 points that I'm going to be telling you is basic, which is make sure that you make my job easy, right? I'm going to be reading about 45-50 page papers of 20 pages each. Remember, it's important that you think about your reader. So as you're doing it, one of the best things that I can tell you can do to help me would be to come up with clear ways in which you are building your paper. It should flow well. You could use headings, subheadings to show me that you have covered all the required aspects of the paper. You can be creative in how you want to present it. Do you want to put it in table format, like how chapter 15 kind of puts it? If you want to put your theory in that way, you can feel free to do that. Remember, in all of it, your paper has to follow APA format. Remember that the first section is mainly informed by the literature and different theories, the existing theories, and the second, third, fourth is where you can feel free to add, use language like, my approach, I believe, those kind of things. Next, first time, make sure after you write it, read it aloud. I want you all to do that. You will catch mistakes that way. The second thing, take it to the writing center or to someone who can actually review your paper. Third, if you want me to review it at least 1 week before the paper is due, I want you to sit with me, and then I can review not the content. I'm not going to be editing the paper for you. I will tell you, I can talk to you about the content that you have. And then here is an important one. Remember, it's not summary. I told you it's important that I see your ability to synthesize, and I want to see organized, coherent flow in the paper. I want to be able to know that this is a capstone paper. So I want to be, sure that you have understood the material and you are able to evaluate, critically analyze, and synthesize and bring everything together in an integrative fashion. And you're able to apply that in the final step. So I want to be able to see all of those. All right. And as many as possible, make sure that you are applying your theory to the final case. So this is all. Don't go beyond 20 pages. So that's the rule. It can be somewhere from 12 pages, anywhere up to 20. All right. So this is all that I have. Do all of this. Good luck. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Looking forward to reading your paper. Take care.